Good morning, everybody. Starting in 1 minute. Chantal, what's up? Okay, folks, let's get started. Welcome to the 10-minute trades trade room, CB Consumer Confidence. My name is Lee Goldstein. I'm the director for 10-minute trades, the trading director. Please remember that all trades we discuss are for educational purposes. It is possible to lose money trading futures, so please trade carefully. Now, roughly 2 months ago, we decided to make a change to the way we're trading. And frankly, I was supposed to reduce the amount of trade rooms significantly. But I just enjoy watching and testing trades so much that I've still had a lot of trade rooms, even though I know that sometimes I'm not going to trade live. This particular trade, CB Consumer Confidence, has not been a trade that's been performing well. Although, ironically, last month it acted reasonably normally. We'll take a look. So the first thing that we do is we have a trade report that comes out the day before the trade, and that gives us advice how we're going to trade this report. So let me get that report. And I just realized I'm on a different computer. Give me 1 second. I got to get that report. Two seconds. And if you notice, there's a new report also. And make sure that you know that the instrument on that new report is 9 HG 921, not HG 721. It's a 9 p.m. report this evening, but the contract rolled over. Chinese manufacturing, non-manufacturing. So Ninja tells you now when the contract rolls over. But even still, if it says it on the report, you should always check volume as a matter of keeping yourself safe. Just as a rule, it's a good idea to check volume when you're near rollover. You don't have to check volume every trade. I mean, there's some reports where you're not anywhere near rollover. Oil rolled over last week, you're not going to have to worry about rollover. So CB Consumer Confidence. This is a report, while it really doesn't look as bad as it is by looking at the report, but if you read the text, okay, 2020 was rocky for this report. April and May in 2020 were shifted to the ES. January, February, March, and November were safe with 11 to 17 ticks. June through August were all stopped. The point is, this is far away from being a family money trade because it's had very little consistency. The last 4 reports have had 2 stops. Okay, so that's a coin toss. Okay, that's not a reliable report. So we're trading family money trades or our live trades. There are occasional trades that I will take live in our test account if the report is really behaving well, because we want to see if something might be starting to become a family money trade. This particular report does not fit that bill. The testing is really difficult. We did some trap testing with gold trap trade, and the results are extremely mediocre, very hard to make a decent profit. So I'm not very interested in a breakout on gold. But the ES as a breakout has some interesting possibilities. Definitely some interesting possibilities. So I'm going to test the ES this morning as a trap trade. Now, Jeffrey is in here. Jeffrey, are you in here this morning? This is not one of those trades that I wouldn't trade it live. The ES trap trade results are not bad, but I don't trust it because I've never tested it on live data. Okay, so I would be extremely hesitant to trade this report with real money. Now, for folks that are visiting with us, you know, we send out a schedule in the morning, and that schedule notates which trades are family money trades. Regular members, I realized this morning that I left off the family money notation on the afternoon report today, the API report. But if you check the schedule, it says family money. So don't forget the API is family money. I just happened to leave it, the notation, off your schedule and your daily email, which is separate from another email I sent. Just be aware. So let me show you last month. So the one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use the DMM, the daily report, to set up a test breakout trade on gold on one chart. The bracket is 6. Targets of 5 and 10, which is pretty small for gold. It's already set at 5 and 10. Hey, I wanted to show you all something. You know, if you click this little down arrow, it'll remove and make the software easier to look at if you don't want all the fields to show up. I mean, I want everything to show up because I don't want to miss anything. But you can do that. So if we take this daily market report for CB consumer confidence, it's a bracket of 6. Position 1 is 5 ticks. Position 2 is 10 ticks. The stop is 10 ticks. And the entry time is 10 o'clock. 10:00:00. Let me record this also while I'm setting up the setups. Okay, so we're recording this. 10 o'clock entry. It's a breakout trade. I'm going to label the trade gold GC CB consumer. Okay, that way I'll be able to differentiate between my trap trade ES test. So bracket of 6. Position 1 is 5 ticks. Position 2 is 10 ticks. Stop loss 10 ticks. Entry time is 10 o'clock on the dot. And the breakout trade is what this is called. Okay, that's my setup. That's my breakout setup. Now, the reason I'm doing the breakout setup is I want to see if this particular report might be making a comeback as a normal report. Last month, My notes show that it worked, so let's see if it worked. Oh, it's interesting. We did it as a trap trade last month, also on the ES. Watch the right side on gold. The report came out, it filled to the upside, moves up, hits the first target. Struggles to hit the second target. Slow moving report. Also, you had new home sales mixed in with it. That makes it a little bit trickier to test because CB consumer and new home sales both can move the market somewhat. And the ES trap trade chopped around quite a bit. The gold trade worked. So we've got one, like I said, 2 out of 4 breakout trades in the past 4 reports that have worked. So 2 out of 4. The trap trade on the ES, pretty choppy. So I'm just waiting to see if it gives you that opportunity to reverse and get a profit or not. It filled 1 tier, okay? It didn't fill 2. There's your reversal. So you have an opportunity to get out. If it hits that target, it'll buy and take you out of the market, canceling the outer tier, and bingo. So the ES, not bad. Not bad. There's some possibilities that the ES might be a valid trap trade. So one test does not make a trade. You've got to do a little bit of testing to see if there's validity in your setup. So the trap trade setup on the ES, and some people are probably asking, what is a trap trade? Trap trade is a trade where you're expecting a reversal to take place and you're putting orders. You're still bracketing your orders above and below the current price. But instead of buying, if it bursts to the long side, you're selling. And the opposite is true. If it drops down, you're buying. So a trap trade is a reversal trade. That's its whole point. Now, the ES trap trade setup is still a test setup. It's under testing. We've had one good-looking trade using real market data, and the testing does not look bad. I did some testing, does not look bad. So you choose strategies. Trap trade version 3 is the new version of the trap trade. The stop is 8 ticks. Position size 2 is 1. Position size 1 is 1. So 2 contracts, 2 tiers. Bracket center is a default price at the time. Average price bars is a default. Wait for spike is a default. Stop loss position is a default. If you're using the correct version of the trap trade, the stop loss will say last fill price, not average price. If it says average price, change it. Okay. The stop is 8. And my tiers are 5 and 10. And then go back and double check your stop. The software checks your stop to make sure it's valid. That's why it changes sometimes. So we have an 8-tick stop, tiers of 5 and 10, a 10 o'clock entry time, and I'm using a 5-second preparation time. 5-second order prep. Okay? That's my trap trade setup. That's it. One more time from the top. Everybody can hear me okay, I assume? Mark made a very interesting comment. If you haven't noticed, the CME, without warning, without telling anybody, decided not to continue closing the markets between 4:15 p.m. and 4:30 Eastern time. Very interesting. Think about all the people, and I'll bet you there's a lot of people that have a 4:30 open trade that they made their living on, and I'll bet they're really upset that the CME did that change. That is going to impact many of our earnings trades, possibly. I'm thinking it may give us extra earnings trades because there's a whole bunch of big companies that announce their earnings after 4:15. Maybe we'll have more opportunities to trade some earnings. So it's interesting, to say the least. I don't know what the point of that market stop was anyway. All right. So the trap trade, one more time, the setup. Bracket center is a default, price at the time. Average price bar's default is 10. Position size 2 is 1. That's changeable. Wait for spike is default, 5 seconds. Position size 1 is, again, that's your contracts. 1 and 2 are your contracts. Stop loss is last fill price, not average price. The actual stop is 8 ticks. Break even profit ticks, don't even think about it. It doesn't have any effect on this trade. He forgot to remove that. I'm going to have him fix that. We don't need that. And entry time is 10 o'clock. Our tiers are 5 ticks and 10 ticks. Order prep is 5 seconds. That's my setup. Okay. Apply it. Okay, it shows up as a JOBB trap. I think I'm going to label it, call it my ES trap. Call it ESCB trap. That way I know exactly what it is when I look at it. ESCB trap. You get that icon. That's our trap trade icon. That tells you that the software is activated, just like our JOBB icon does the same thing. That's how you know your software is activated. Let's check our time sync by going to the website time.is, right? I got to move it up. Come on. Get out of my way. Time.is. My computer is in sync. All you have to do is go to that website. If it will not put you in sync, we do have other tools we can help you with to help you get your computer in sync. Let me show you. So you saw one trap trade. Last month we tested the trap trade. But like I said, one trap trade test is not enough. Mark, I'm probably getting a scooter instead of a bike. I need a way to go to actually get around. So I've pretty much resigned myself to getting a scooter. Which scooter do you have? I'm so fed up with vehicles. Well, you're lucky. You live in such a great area for weather. What does that mean, the bird company? All right, so the markets are opening. That's why there's, some little bit of extra volatility, 9:30 to 10. CB consumer confidence comes out at 10. I want to make sure that my sound is working so I can hear Financial Juice in the background. And I'm also, it's a service you have where you can rent scooters. No, we don't have Bird here. We have something called Indiegogo where they rent you bicycles, but not scooters. There might be a scooter rental place that I don't know about. They're big on bicycles here. And we also have little kiosks where you can rent a handgun. So if you want to rob a corner store, you can do that too. I'll tell you, it certainly seems that way. There is so many gun crimes in this city. It's unbelievable. I'd rather rent a scooter than a gun. It sounds like Gotham. Yeah, it is. It is. My son, I'm telling you, my son's an attorney. Like 90% of his cases are gun cases. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. So we got 5 minutes. So let me see if I can show us one more. ES trap trade test. So last month we looked at, the month before was 417. This was the trap trade in April. April, it was possible to make about $60 on the trap trade. Not bad. So you see it filled long because it went down, and then you're waiting for a reversal. And it hangs around for a while. You want to make sure that it's not going to hit that second target, and then you can hit the cancel button to cancel the second target. But it looks like it might hit it, and then it reverses. So you cancel the second target, and then you can move your stop up into an area of profit so that if it changes direction again, you at least protect some of your profit. Or you could wait. You don't have to move your stop either. If you don't move your stop, then you're going to take the full risk of 8 ticks per contract. That's 2 points. So that's 62.50 on the ES, right? 12.50 a tick. And we're using a stop of 8 ticks, 2 points. So it's a stop of 125 per contract. Okay. So 5 seconds before 10 o'clock, my software is going to put my orders on the chart for my trap trade. Okay. Now we can watch the breakout on the right to see if this report is still working or is starting to work again as a gold breakout trade. I would not be surprised if it didn't. This has been a very inconsistent report to begin with. Just in general, it's been a very inconsistent report. For the next at least 2 more months, we're trading almost exclusively family money trades. We still have trade rooms to discuss the ways you would trade other reports if you want to. You don't have to. I don't believe that you have to do things exactly the way that I do them. There's many reports that can be traded if you want to. But we're looking for the absolute highest quality way to trade reports. So we're doing something different that we haven't done previously. And that's what the family money trades are all about. All right? It's not rocket science. It's just a different, little bit of a tweak to the way we're trading. Now, there have been some problems, excuse me, with investing.com giving the results to the news. They haven't always been showing up. So I'm watching FX Street on my other monitor because FX Street also shows the news results in real time. And in the background, I'm listening to Financial Juice Pro, okay? That's a tool that we use. They have a squawk box, and I hear them talking in my ear. They will talk in my ear what the consumer confidence results are if they don't show up on investing.com, which they may not. I'm thinking, if I was going to make a guess, I think it's going to be lower than 119. The news expected is 119. I think it's going to be lower. That doesn't mean I'm right. I'm just guessing. I think 119 is pretty darn high. There's our trap trade orders. Okay. So now the news is out, and wow, it's really positive. So the ES, gold should go down on really, really good news. It should fill both those orders because the news is really, really good. Now, I would protect part of my profit by shrinking my stop with gold. It's not giving me the opportunity to shrink it as much as I'd like. The ES, I'm very surprised, is not really popping to the upside on that good news, but it's starting to now. So now the question is, will the ES reverse? It filled us. It still has another target to possibly hit, and gold is now heading back down. But this is what we see on this report. Even with good news, it's just chopping around, okay? And it's very difficult to even protect my profit because on the breakout trade, it was a very small profit. I only made one tick, okay? One tick. If I tried to protect my profit by moving my stop to break even minus a tick or 4, I was break even minus 3 because my target was pretty small, right? So now let's watch the trap trade. Fortunately, so the trap trade's reversing. I'm going to cancel my outer tier. Okay, so I only have my target and my stop. I'm going to move my price, my stop, into an area that's positive. Now, the fact that you got a reversal with really good news took me out of the trade. So it's a positive trap trade. I made a mistake. I want to be honest. I accidentally canceled the trap over here, even with my label, but I still had plenty of time to grab a profit by moving down because the price did reverse. So it's very interesting that both trades would have worked today. Both trades would have worked. I think, what we're seeing in these markets as of late is trades are working, whether even trades that aren't family money trades are working with regularity. That's what we're seeing. When you get news trading goes in cycles, you get periods where sometimes you can't do anything wrong and trades just work. But I mean, CB consumer confidence, it worked, and it worked. It should have worked because the news was incredibly positive. 127.3 was the result versus an expected 119. That's a very large difference in the expected news, and that creates a move in the index. So let's look at the video real quick. So to me, it looks really like the trap trade is a very nice setup, and the GC, the gold breakout, might be working again. Now, that means you have two possible setups you could choose. Let's take a look at what happened. That was last month. So here's today. So we set up a trap trade on the ES. Watch the right side first because gold takes place more quickly because it's a breakout trade. So the trap trade puts the orders on the chart 5 seconds before the news. Our orders go on at 10 o'clock. The news comes out. It's very positive. That should drive gold down. You also had a downward trend in gold today, which helps you. The first target gets hit very quickly. Very quickly. And I think it was only a 5-tick target. Yes, it was a 5-tick target. So then your decision is, do you move your stop to protect your profit, or do you just leave the stop alone and see if you can hit that second target? Or do you move your stop part of the way like I did to protect, just enough of your profit so that you break even on the trade and cover your expenses? That's what I did. And it chopped around enough, unfortunately, that's what happened. So yes, the breakout worked, but it's still not what I would call a fantastic breakout trade that's going to make you a lot of money, because it worked, but it chopped around a lot. And ultimately, if you protected your profit, which I think makes sense most of the time, you only would have made $10. It's not exactly a get-rich-quick trade. Then, though, the price did go down. So if you played just the news and left your stop mostly alone, you would have hit your targets. So I think the good lesson to learn is when your news is so good, the offset, the difference between expected and what the news really is very large. move your stop very little, okay? And that way you can try and get your profit based on the move from the news. Now, the trap trade is a totally different kind of animal. Your orders go on the chart 5 seconds before the trade in this instance. The news comes out. It's very good news, so you expect the ES to move up and either fill both of these tiers or orders, as we call them, to the short side. Which, to my way of thinking, there is some risk in that today because the news was so good. So what's interesting is that even with good news, the ES seems to chop around enough on this report to give you a profit. Even with good news, it didn't just shoot in one direction, blowing through your stop and ruining your trade. What it did is it went up, filling you short. Remember, we're banking on a reversal. It went up, filled us short. It never went high enough to hit that second order. Okay? It never went high enough to hit the second order. That's a signal right there that you have a good shot that the trap trade's going to work. It didn't blow through your orders. So that's a good thing if you're trading the trap trade with real money. Okay? That's a good thing. Yeah, I'm getting ready now. If the price continues its reverse, I'll cancel the outer tier. That's this order here. Okay? I'm going to cancel this order. I cancel it, and then I'm going to move my stop down into an area of profit. Okay? Further right about there, I know I'm in profit. I can see profit. And now I can just wait. If it reverses, I'll still make some money. And it reversed, and I closed out. Because I canceled up here, the trap trade didn't finish out the way it normally does. That you would normally not have had to close it out manually. That was because I accidentally closed out the wrong trade up here. It didn't affect my profit. It was an easy trade to make a profit on, and it looks, the trap trade on the ES looks like a very, very interesting setup for this trade. Looks like a real possibility. So we'll see. We'll see. Maybe the next daily report that we have will be the trap trade. Any questions? Anybody out there have a question? Anybody? So the breakout, the lesson to learn is when your news result, we call it the news offset. When the offset, which equals what's the difference between the expected news result, which was 119, and the real news result, which is 127, that's a large offset. In other words, if they were both 119, that's matching or no offset, minimal offset. When there's a big offset, it often helps your trade. Gold generally, although lately it's been difficult, but generally if the news is good like it was today, gold has a tendency to move down. Now, something you have to realize, there was a downward trend in gold to begin with today. That may have helped the trade work in the proper direction, because gold has been challenging to trade in the proper direction. Or I say the proper direction, gold has traded whatever direction it feels like these days. It hasn't been following its old rules. Trades are still working, but you can't always count on gold to go the direction you think it's going to go. The ES, on the other hand, it just gave you a good trap trade that worked. It's just a setup that seems to work on this report. There's a lot of chopping around on this report, a lot of up and down movement, which lends itself well to a trap trade. And that's probably why the ES was available for a profit. It wasn't a gigantic profit. It didn't fill both orders. It only filled one. But even still, you know, if you make $100 or $130 without a lot of fear and risk, nothing wrong with that. If you don't have the software, how do you know what price to set up your bracket on? So Mila, we use the current price. We're using the current price at the time we want to put the bracket on the chart. So if the current price, for instance, is 42.91, you're going to put your orders 6 ticks above 42.91 and 6 ticks below. Forgive me, it's gold. Okay, so let's say you're 1757. Say the current price is 1757 at the time you want to put your bracket on. So you'd put your bracket 1757.60. And then your bottom bracket would be 1756.40, 6 ticks away. Now, super fast trades, you have to approximate because you won't have time to get it perfect. On slow moving trades, you generally have time to put your brackets on. Does that help? Current price is where the bracket placement is based on. So if the current price is 1758.20, add 6 to that, 1758.80 is where your gold long price would go. And then 6 ticks below that is where your short price would go. That's how you get the price, okay? Mila, if you created a login for yourself on our website, and the instructions are in that email that I sent you, if you create an account for yourself, there's a free video on the website, how to trade the daily report without software. And it'll just explain what I just told you. Okay? And it's free to look at a lot of videos on our website. There's a ton of them up there. And our YouTube channel, too, has a ton of, a real lot of videos. Any other questions, folks? Any other questions? Anybody? Everybody's good. So we'll be back 4 p.m. I corrected. I've had a good start to the week. I sent the wrong time for the API report. It's not 4:30. It's 4 o'clock. But I corrected it, and today's email was corrected also. So we'll be back in the room at 4 o'clock for API. Okay? And I'll see everybody later. All right. I don't see any other questions, so see you all later. You're welcome.